The festival was filled with laughter and music, but Eli felt heavy-hearted. After the terrible accusations against Essay, the crowd kept shouting at her, believing Lady Lira's lies. Eli couldn't stand it any longer. He took Essay's hand and led her away from the crowd, leaving the festival behind. Once they were alone, he brought her to a quiet spot near a stream. "I'm so sorry," Eli said, his voice filled with sadness. Essay looked at him, her eyes shining with tears. "I love you, Eli," she whispered. "But love isn't enough. We come from different worlds. I can't bring shame to you or your family." Eli felt a deep ache in his heart. "Essay, please. We can figure this out together," he pleaded, but no matter what he said, she shook her head. "It's too complicated. I just can't," she replied, her voice breaking. The next morning, Eli woke up worried. He felt like a storm was brewing inside him. Soon, the king and queen sent for him. He stood before them, his heart racing. "Eli," the king said sternly, "you must never see Essay again. She is a disgrace to our family and will bring shame to the royal household." Eli felt a surge of anger. "That's not true," he shouted. "Essay is a good girl. What they said at the festival was all a lie. I've given her my heart, and nothing can change that." The king stood up, his face red with fury. "You are my son, and you must obey me. Your mother and I have chosen a bride for you. She comes from a very respected family." Eli shook his head, his voice strong. "But I don't love her. She is proud and rude. She's not the one for me." The king shouted back, "My decision is final. You will marry the lady we have chosen." Eli felt his heart pound in his chest. He couldn't give up on Essay, the girl who made him laugh and dream. "You can't force me to love someone I don't care for," he yelled, feeling brave. The queen looked worried but didn't speak. Eli took a deep breath, knowing he had to fight for what he felt inside. "I will always choose love, no matter what," he declared. The tension filled the room like a thick fog. Would Eli's determination be enough to change his father's mind? As he faced the king and queen, he knew that this battle for love was just beginning. Lady Lira moved into the palace, and it didn't take long for everyone to notice how unpleasant she was. She treated the servants poorly, snapping at them and looking down on anyone she deemed beneath her. Eli watched in frustration, knowing she was the last person he wanted to see in his home. Determined to confront his mother, the queen, Eli approached her one day. "Mother, why did you bring her here?" he asked, trying to keep his voice steady. The queen looked surprised. "What do you mean? She is your future wife." Eli felt a surge of anger. "She can never be my wife," he shouted, storming out of the room, leaving his mother fuming. Later, Eli found Lady Lira in the garden with her guards. "Lady Lira," he called out, marching toward her. "You need to understand that I will never be with you. Stop wasting your time." Her eyes narrowed. "You'll regret those words, Eli," she replied, her voice icy. The next day, in a fit of anger, Lady Lira decided to pay Essay a visit. When she arrived at Essay's house, she found only her parents home. "Show them what happens when they get in my way," she ordered her guards to destroy everything in the house. Eli, unaware of Lady Lira's actions, was at the palace, growing increasingly worried about Essay. He knew he had to protect her. Meanwhile, Essay's parents stood firm against Lady Lira's guards. "You can't intimidate us. Our daughter is not afraid of you," they declared. Essay rushed home, hearing the commotion. "What's happening?" she asked, concern etched on her face. Lady Lira turned her attention to Essay. "Stay out of this. You're the reason for all this trouble." Essay's heart raced. "This is not about me. Leave my family alone," she pleaded. Lady Lira simply laughed, enjoying her power. "You think you can stop me? I will do whatever it takes to get what I want." Just then Eli appeared, his heart dropping at the sight of the chaos. "Stop this," he shouted, rushing toward them. "Look who finally decided to show up," Lady Lira said with a smirk. "Perhaps you should think twice before challenging me." Eli stood protectively in front of Essay and her parents. "You're a bully, Lady Lira. This is wrong." Tension filled the air as Eli remained steadfast, determined to defend those he cared about. "I won't let you hurt them. I will fight for what's right." SA felt a rush of gratitude for Eli's bravery. They needed to unite against Lady Lira's threats. Eli's courage inspired her to stand strong. Lady Lira, realizing her intimidation tactics were failing, narrowed her eyes. "You think you can protect them? You have no idea what I'm capable of." Eli replied firmly, "I'll do whatever it takes to keep them safe, even if it means standing up to you every single day." The confrontation reached a crucial moment, and both sides knew this was just the beginning of a larger battle. Eli stood tall, ready to defend SA and her family from Lady Lira. "You won't get away with this," he shouted, his voice strong and clear. Lady Lira laughed, but Eli could see that she was starting to feel nervous. "You think you can stop me?" she taunted, but Eli could see the doubt in her eyes. "The prince won't save you," Lady Lira said, then walked away. SA's parents looked at Eli with gratitude. "Thank you for standing up for us," SA's mother said, her voice shaking but firm. "We won't let her bully us." The next day, Prince Eli went to the river to meet SA. At first, SA was scared someone might see them. But soon, she felt safe and started talking to Eli. Little did they know, Lady Lira was hiding nearby, watching them. Lady Lira ran to the king to tell him what she saw. The king became very angry and called for SA to come to the palace. He warned her never to see Prince Eli again. Eli was furious. He shouted that if he couldn't marry SA, he wouldn't marry anyone. The king's face turned red with anger. He told Eli that if he married Lady Lira, Eli would no longer be his son. Eli was shocked and replied, "So be it." He took SA's hand, ready to leave the palace. But the king yelled for the guards to stop them. He accused SA of being a witch who wanted to destroy the royal family. The room fell silent. Everyone was surprised but too scared to speak. Suddenly, the king clutched his chest and fell to the ground. Everyone gasped, worried about what would happen next. He was rushed to the hospital. After examining him, the doctors determined that he needed a blood transfusion. Eli's heart sank when the doctor continued, "I'm sorry, but the king's blood type is very rare. We can't find a match." Eli felt a wave of panic. He realized that he couldn't help his father. Deep down, he remembered something else. He was not the king's biological son. He was adopted, which meant he couldn't give blood. Frustrated and worried, Eli decided he needed to talk to someone. He went to the prison where SA was being held. He found her sitting alone, looking sad but determined. "SA," Eli said, his voice shaky. "The king needs a blood transfusion. They can't find a match, and I can't help him." SA's eyes widened. "What blood type does he need?" Eli replied, "It's rare. They said it might be impossible to find." "I might be able to help," SA said quietly. "I have the same blood type as the king. I can give my blood to save him." Eli looked at her, surprised. "Are you sure? It could be dangerous for you." "I'm sure," she said firmly. "If it can save the king, I want to do it. He's your father after all." Eli felt a rush of gratitude. "Thank you, SA. But they might not let you leave here." SA took a deep breath. "We have to try. You have to talk to the doctor and convince them." Eli nodded, feeling hopeful. He raced back to find the doctor. When he found him, he said urgently, "SA can help. She has the same blood type as the king." The doctor looked skeptical. "Are you sure? We need to confirm her blood type first." Eli nodded quickly. "Please, we have to do this. Time is running out." The doctor agreed to test SA's blood type. Eli rushed back to the prison to tell her what was happening. "They'll check your blood type right away." SA smiled, feeling a surge of hope. "Let's do this." Soon, a nurse arrived to take a sample of SA's blood. Eli watched anxiously as they tested it. Moments felt like hours. Finally, the nurse returned with the results. "Your blood type matches the king's," she announced. Eli felt a wave of relief wash over him. "We can save him." The doctor arrived, and Eli explained the situation. "We need to prepare for the transfusion. As they made plans, Eli took Essay's hands in his. "Thank you for being so brave. I don't know what I would do without you." Essay smiled back, her determination shining through. "We're in this together, Eli. Let's save your father." At the hospital, the doctors quickly prepared for the blood transfusion. Eli watched anxiously as they connected Essay to the king. After what felt like forever, the doctors finished, and soon the king began to recover. When the king regained consciousness, he looked around the room. The queen was by his side, along with Eli, Lady Lira, and Essay. "What happened?" he asked, his voice weak. Eli stepped forward. "You collapsed, father. Essay saved your life by giving you her blood." The king turned to Essay, his eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you, Essay. You are a true hero." As Essay turned to leave, her phone slipped from her hands and fell to the floor. When she bent down to pick it up, the king noticed a birthmark on her lower back, just like his. He raised an eyebrow in surprise. "Essay, come back for a moment." She turned, confused. "Yes, your majesty?" The king asked, "What can you tell me about your family? Where did you come from?" Essay hesitated but then replied, "I didn't grow up with my real parents. My mother died giving birth to me. I was raised by a farmer and his wife." The king's expression softened, but his curiosity grew. "What was your mother's name?" "Her name was Alina," Essay said quietly. The king's eyes widened. "Alina? She worked at the palace. I knew her." He called for the farmer and his wife to come to the hospital. When they arrived, the king asked them, "How do you know Essay?" The farmer's wife stepped forward. "Essay's mother was my friend. She worked as a maid at the palace. When she became pregnant, she never revealed who the father was. I cared for Essay when her mother died." The king listened intently, a mix of emotions on his face. "Did you ever learn what happened to her?" The farmer shook his head. "No, your majesty. She kept it a secret." Just then, the doctor entered the room. "I've conducted several tests, including a DNA test comparing the king's blood with Essay's. The results show a 99% match." Everyone in the room gasped. The doctor continued, "This means Essay is the king's biological daughter. She is a princess." Lady Lira's face turned pale with shock. "What?" Eli's eyes lit up with joy. "Essay, you're really a princess?" The king looked at Essay, his heart filled with a mix of pride and wonder. "You are my daughter, Liz. I never knew." Tears welled up in Essay's eyes. I had no idea." The queen embraced her, saying, "Welcome to the family, my dear." Eli smiled brightly, relieved that his father was better and that Essay had found her true identity. Lady Lira, still shocked, stepped back, realizing that her plans had been shattered. The king took Essay's hands. "We have so much to discuss, and I want to know everything about you." As they began to talk, a new chapter unfolded for Essay, Eli, and the entire royal family, filled with love, acceptance, and the bonds of family.